Okay, so here we are. I picked the car up with 216,000 miles on February 14th. Beginning when I bought the car, it needed a right front CV axle, right front ball joint, and I believe it was a right front tie rod. Discovered that it needed a right rear sway bar link. After that, all the suspension and steering was all in order. Soon after, somewhere around 220 to 225,000 miles, I got the mileage written down. It developed a noise that I thought could potentially have been brakes. It was rubbing and grinding, so I went and did the front brakes, pads, and had the rotors turned. So they're in spectacular order now. The rear brakes also launched. The rear inside emergency brake shoes launched on the right rear and the left rear. I'm trying to remember which one it was. So I redid them. It screwed up the hub on the inside left, the mounting tab. So I've got the repair bracket coming from Revolve to fix that as early as tomorrow when it arrives. Okay, so the front brakes have been done. The rear brakes have had new emergency shoes, but I haven't touched the pads or rotors because they're fine. All the suspension components are fine. This car is practically rust-free. The control arm bushings are surprisingly rot-free. They're all in good shape, the rubber. The rims, they got a scuff here and there. Each rim, all the way around. I'd like to sand them, smooth them, fill them, and paint them. That's the kind of stuff that I'm going to do if I keep the car. It's got dings. Let's find them. Got one here. Okay, little ding. Got some paint scratches around the rear door. Like I said, each rim is a little scuffed. This right here I plan on buffing out this upcoming week, wet sand and buff. This ding right here is not going to come out. It's just going to have to be lived with. It'll probably be sanded and touched up. It won't even be visible, but it's there. And body work would be necessary. The trim, I'd like to restore it. Either paint it or apply a product to it. That's the decision you got to make. Really didn't want to have to put a product on it. I wanted to do it right and probably paint it. Was undecided if I was going to paint it like a flat black, gloss black, somewhere around here. Another ding, scratch through the paint. Gonna need to be touched up or need body work. But again, the type of thing that you would live with this car, because you can't really hurt it. It's a driver. It's not a show car. And that's why at the price it's at, you don't have to worry about fucking up a $7,000 car. Splitting the front bumper. The fog light is missing on the left front. The fog light bezel is missing on the right front. I got the bezel coming in the mail tomorrow. Headlight wipers, blades are missing, but the lenses on this car are in really good shape. The front bumper at the attachment points, it's got an issue on each side. I don't know what it is. Again, buy a $7,000 car, I can almost guarantee within a couple weeks you're going to be bouncing your front bumper off every curb and every rock in the world. So what's the point? It's not a show car, it's a driver. The seat is split at that seam. It's going to need to be stitched back up. And it's split at this seam as well and here. So whatever required to do that seat is going to be done or going to be necessary. Now, as far as the rest of the interior, all the leather is in order. I would like it to be dyed back to 100%, but that's going to be, a few $100. The rear leather seats are practically mint. This one spot over here that gets rubbed on the inside when you come in, the dye is a little bit showing through, as well as here. That's just missing dye. But other than that, the leather's in good shape. Every single door panel in this car is practically perfect, except for this one tiny little scuff on that panel. It's a rip. I would like for it to be touched up. The back of this seat looks like the woman had a dog that probably scratched it or something. Again, with an interior re-dye, that won't show. When you put a leather product on it, it glosses it and it doesn't show. This one tiny little nick right here. Other than that, there's not many issues with any of these interior panels. They're all practically perfect. The mats are good. They can be cleaned up. The dash is nice. The steering wheel's nice. Center console's nice. No issues. I took the divider thing that sits here out. That panel is practically perfect. I clean this car. I detail it. I do everything. Non-stop, all the time. Let's go ahead and give it a start up. As I mentioned, mechanically the engine had zero issues since I bought it. I redid the coil harness. I chased the crank sensor code for 4 months until I finally figured it out a couple weeks ago, and it was because the sensor was not close enough to the flywheel. I cleaned the flywheel, cleaned every ground, ran new wiring, replaced the sensor. I did everything you could possibly do to correct that matter, and now it's fixed. Thing gets 20.5 miles per gallon. I've been tracking it lately. The HID bulbs work, no problem. The fog light bulbs need to be replaced. It says alarm system service required. That's because one of the batteries in the alarm system siren is bad. You take out the siren and you replace the battery in it and you put it back and that code goes away. I've never heard what the siren sounds like on this car, and I really didn't want to deal with a siren, so I just left it that way. Installed my boost gauge. Thing works wonderfully. Sits right here. Doesn't move around. It's all good. Sunroof. It's all here. It's an S60R. Just the way they came. Yup. It's got 228,000 miles. All the wear items that go between $150 and $200 have already gone, and now they've been replaced. Everything on this car is in order. Let's pop the hood. Let's take a look. The thing is usually spotless clean, as in the photo that I sent you. Right now it could use a little bit of a elbow grease job. If you want to make it look showroom shine, you just put a coating of something, whatever you want on it. But I'm usually wrenching on the thing when I was trying to fight the crank sensor code, so I'm not really worried about what it looks like. I redid all these hoses. This hose, there's a T that goes to a few different hoses. I redid them hoses last week. The TCV line, I cleaned up every line that goes to the turbo, all set, all done. Everything on this motor in order. I think it's got a new alternator. Power steering is beautiful. The transmission mount upper has been replaced, and for some reason when I replaced it, it went bad again. It was a junk one I bought off Amazon. I'm going to try and get another one. And I stuffed this toothbrush in here just for the meantime because it was stopping it from going any further than the broken rubber would allow. So that's just a hack job at the moment, and I'm going to fix that as early as I can. Car runs beautiful. I put Mobil 1 in it. Oh, I mentioned the noise that I thought was the brakes was actually the angle gear. That's what led to the angle gear replacement. I drove to Connecticut to find one that was 110,000 miles out of a wrecked car. Got the collar sleeve, did it the next day. Been running great since then. no angle gear issues, you know. Had a front wheel alignment done on it when I had the new tire put on. One of these 4 tires is new, the rest of them are like new. They're all Yokohamas, they're all great all-season tires. The paint, like I said, is a very good looking paint, but it's got cosmetic issues when you look at it. This is a little bit burnt through on the clear coat, that one little spot. And the rest of it could just use the wet sand in a couple spots and a buff and a wax. That's really it. The trunk is in order. The spare is at my house. I keep my tools under here. It's got a good battery, tools and snacks. Everything works, man. I'm telling you. It's got a Grom USB in it. I just installed it last week. The stereo system in this thing, I don't even want to give the car up. It's so beautiful. I'm going to be killing myself. I love my music. And this car is just a blast to drive. My only complaint with these cars is the turning radius. It's got the turning radius of a school bus. It's a pain in the ass. But other than that, these cars are just beautiful to drive, man. They pull like a freight train. They just run so good. It's my first foreign car ever. I've never had any Volvo or anything. And I'm just, you know, happy with it. Having a driver that actually gets good gas mileage. And everything's reliable on. So that's it, man. It's an 04 S60R. If you can live with one that's not perfect, but mechanically has been gone through front to back and is 100%, then you're looking at the car that you want. I have painstakingly put 4 months worth of work into this car, correcting every single issue. Price is $4,500. I can't ask more because the market out there wouldn't really allow. I can't ask less because I know what's out there for junk boxes. And you buy one, you're going to go back through every single thing that I just went through on this car. No doubt about it. You can buy one out there for $3,500. And you're going to end up putting a couple grand into it and all the time that I just spent. You can buy one for $6,000. Might have 150,000 on the dash. That's just a number. It doesn't mean anything, because somewhere around $150 to $190, you're going to be seeing all the problems that developed with this one go bad again, and you're going to be hunting for CV axles, sway bar links, tie rods, angle gears. Forget that. This car's done, and that's it.